Hello and welcome to the Slips Breakdown, where we analyze one of the games from the season to figure out what went right or wrong. My name's Freshify, and with me is our resident coach, caster, analyst, Coach Scully.
Yeah, we're here to take a look at one of the games that happened within this last week, and I believe very recently, as these games are normally sent to us. This one is actually Game 3 of Redout and Overland Esports, and this was only Game 3. Freshify, what ended up happening? What ended up happening in this series?
Well, it went to overtime, and as we'll see, it's quite elongated of a game, and that's really all there is that you need to know before we go into this.
I'm excited to see it. And yeah, you're very much right. This was a very long match, a 12-minute game with a very long
Oh,
overtime. And I believe we got word from production that we're watching from the back we're going to be watching from the background of Readout as they did take this game, but Overland Esports did end up taking the series. So I'm excited to get into this. How about you, Freshify?
I'm very excited to get in and see what all the mistakes happened.
Mistakes. This is exactly what we're here to do. Tell everybody why we're bad at Rocket League.
You know, why are people bad at Rocket League? A lot
Red
of
out. Okay, red out. Apparently they're called red out, not read out.
common mistake.
Well, yep, there he goes. All right, so first things first, I love what I'm seeing here, okay? So first before you got red out, very, very, very spaced out. And off the bat, that doesn't it's not a bad thing, right? There are plenty of teams that have extremely spaced out styles of play. I mean, have you ever watched NRG? They live off of giving each other ample space and opportunity to work and only coming in to help when it's absolutely necessary. They pick their times to crash. They know when it's time to go. Here, we can already see that same play style starting to come up. But with that play style, you need really mechanical frontmen because often on offense, it manifests as two very mechanical people in the front and a very extremely deep third man. So we're gonna have to wait and see if this is what happens. But from Overland on the other side of the pitch, you can see a nice catch on this counterattack and a straight midfield pass after nice mechanics to get the other side. All right. So this midfield pass is already showing me that these two teams play Rocket League differently, very differently. Look at all this space that Redout or Redout have. Look at the space that Overland has. He ended up passing that back to his teammate because he knows the advantage of that angle. Unfortunately, he's not able to reach that angle or make the reattack. Young Jay sitting there back trying to catch that a lot tighter. Look, 92, Anubis already cutting off the ball, Freshify. The space is going to collapse. These guys are going to be a very high passing team. They're going to rely on each other in extreme amount, keeping close. And Freshify, what are some of the negative effects do you think that can happen from such a tight style as we see a goal float in already?
Well, the problem with the tight style is that it results into a lot of double commit opportunities, which aren't really opportunities, they're more negative. But
Yep.
with that being said, you can see this is what happens here, and it causes what is it, Young Jay and I can't see that guy's name that clearly, but they they're a bit too close here, and it results into an opportunity for blue team, Redout, which presents a goal.
Yeah, absolutely. Right here, you have all three players in the same spot. And this is one of the issues that I find often when coaching teams through the tight style of offense that relies heavily on cuts. I love that style. It's my preferred style. But The transitional defense is one of the hardest things to manage within that style. As you can see here, you have a double rotation back, Freshify, and that double rotation back makes it very hard. Look, they push past the net at the same time. One challenges, one goes for the boost, and the final person makes a turn towards the boost, and the net is wide open. Freshify, that is not where we want to be. That's one of the big downsides of that really tight style. On one hand, it's very hard to lose offense because every time they try to clear it, one of your players is right there to stop them. But when it is cleared, that transitional defense has to be on point. So we're going to have to see patterns, right? Everything about analyzing replays is finding patterns, finding what's going on, what's happening with the teams that they're doing repeatedly. Because we can break down each and every mistake, right? A less experienced coach would go on and on about that little double commit and the crossbar on that shot. But is that really the issue? The double commit came from staying true to the play style, right? Anubis is trying to cut in to stop this from being cleared. A little bit of miscommunication between Young Jay. And it hits the crossbar because sometimes balls hit the crossbar. What shows up as a repeated pattern is going to be more worth talking about, and that's going to help your team improve much, much faster.
Yeah, you can definitely see that it's starting to cause some problems already in this game with only a minute and 15 seconds happened. Mm. And it results in some very awkward situations for sure. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yeah, the awkward situations are coming in droves as the transitional defense is has yet again shown weaknesses where double players are on the same side. This I think came more of off of a demo, but all the same, they are barely able to stave it away. Coming around. Go ahead. I heard you about this saying something.
Yeah. So as you can see from the blue team, they definitely have that energy style of gameplay, which is kind of working, but well, they're not really getting the goals off as much as they had with all the opportunities because of that mechanical, what is the word, disability? Because they don't have it.
Yeah, the mechanical gap. That's absolutely right. You see, the space that they give each other is very much asking for the front two players to be able to hold it down solo. As soon as they are incapable of doing that, look at. Oh, I clicked a wrong button real quick. Let me tab back into Rocket League and back up a bit. Yes, and here I am clicking wrong buttons again. Coach Scully
How does
on
he do it?
on a tear, baby, man. Like nobody can press wrong buttons like I can. And yes, I am the guy who backflips in front of the net. Why do you ask? But yes, see right here, you have this very extreme spacing in between each other. And all in all, it's not bad. You've got Black Farts Matter, right? Beautiful name, might I add, who's positioned to come and take this. You've got him. You've got the front player who's in perfect position to help, and Hunter all the way back here guarding the deep ball. It's not an inherently bad situation, but the amount of ground that two people have to cover is a ground intended for three people to cover. Again, not a bad strategy, but can you mechanically hold on to possession? Time of possession is a huge deal. You can't just win off of counterattacks, and this 1-2 with a deep three is not a counterattack strategy. This is very much an extended offense. This is very much a mechanical outplay. I'm going to dissect you and I'm going to ram into you. It is strong for counterattacks, but that is not the main point of this style. So know what style that you're naturally playing towards and how to maintain it.
Now,
Is
how would a team figure out what style works best for their players?
That's actually a very interesting question. I'm glad that you brought that up. Knowing what styles exist is big. Knowing what you individually do is also big, right? If you've got a team of two or three players that all of them say, "Hey, I feel best when I am when I'm cutting rotation," right? And not ridiculous cuts. I mean smart cuts.
Right.
When I'm making an intelligent cut of rotation, take Anubis right here, for example, right? Supposed to be going all the way back to third. Take that deep position, right? We have discussed diamonds on this channel before. Getting back to those diamonds, recognizing that this or this can be an offensive reset point. Rotate all the way back to those, round out that approach, and re-attack the ball with a new found view of the field. But what happens when you want to, like Anubis, cut in early because you recognize opportunity and that you can waste more time by holding this ball still for your teammates to get back than you can by giving away possession to these two blue cars while you rotate back. Neither one is the wrong answer, but recognizing your own tendency helps answer that question. Anubis is a guy who wants to make that cut. If you've got three people who are in love with cutting off rotations, and disrupting the natural flow to the game, then you have immediately our orange team right here. You have immediately a version 1 style of play. You have three players who might do really well at passing because you notice the unorthodox passing angles. Already we've seen back passes come from the wall back to the ground. We've seen slight horizontal passes. This has only been 3 minutes of the game, Freshie, that has been sent out. And we already have this style starting to emerge. So knowing your individual preferences and knowing what styles are available out there. For instance, my team, when we were teaching this specific style with a Champ 2 team I was working on, which is about this a little bit under the ranks of these, as these guys are Champ 3 through GC1. And I think these guys are all closer to see Champ 2 through GC1. I think these guys are all closer to that GC1 range.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it.
Yeah, absolutely. We studied a lot of version 1 and noticed how much of an outlet they had. If a person's coming out and pushing the ball this way, you had a guy either sitting here or right here, depending on where the defender was. And that pass would come straight to wherever the most advantageous teammate was sitting. And they showed themselves and positioned themselves for those outlets very often. We studied that. We recognized that the style was out there and that we came into our own practices and refined it. On the other side of the field, you've got three people who really love a lot of space. Maybe you have a Justin on your team who all he loves to do is extended air dribbles that lead into flip resets, right? If you've
I
got
mean, who
that,
doesn't?
I mean, if you could, why not? Right here,
Exactly.
Black Farts Matter going for a double tap from midfield. If that's you, if that's your team, then this style might just be for you, where you have two really aggressive people up front with an extremely passive person guarding deep back. You just need to recognize the flaws of your chosen style. So recognizing each player's individual preference for how they feel like they play the game best, and then molding that into a style that you've seen played at higher levels is very much a help. I've seen too many times, Freshify, too many times where a coach tries to take what they believe the right way to play Rocket League and force their teams to mold to that. And that's not conducive. But right here, what do you see, Freshify? What's happening? Why are they about to get scored on?
Once again, two people going back same way. They
Two
double
people,
rotate.
the double rotation, two people going back the same way. And just a tip, again, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Here you have the goal, 2 clicks back. So a good 10 to 15 seconds in the past. You have the mistake. A double rotate starts here at 17 seconds. The goal happens at 12. So 5 seconds ago is the mistake. That double rotation made a very awkward push into the net, and that didn't actually end up being an own goal, Freshify.
It was. You could see, if you could go back to the 10 seconds prior, you can see the mistake is that, once again, it's these awkward passes that they just love doing, where it's these small passes, but
Yeah.
they, Capri's, or I think that's his name, he's rotated out farther than they're used to, and it leads into an opportunity for Black Farts Matter and his team. Now it does result in an own goal, which is unfortunate, but it's all
Yep.
because of that play and probably miscommunication of where that third was.
Exactly, and that's another issue that you will find. I'm glad that you pointed that out. One of the natural issues with the heavy passing style and the short drop-off passes, as some would call them, is that you are going to have those situations where passes go to nobody because you're so used to doing quick drop-offs that you stop realizing when people are not there. The communication and the flow is so important. You disrupt the flow of replacement and cuts, then you will disrupt the flow of when a passer knows his teammate to exist. And that's what we just saw happen. Now, again, we're going to see something new happen, or not something new. We're going to see a new pattern emerge, a demo in the net, an open net, a good shot. Everything about this is perfect, right?
Right.
Crossbar gets in the way. A good cut. Oh, and again, we're going to see cut in rotation. A cut in rotation. Basic rotation says you get replacement here. You go back. You allow your next player to come in. But no, he cuts in early because that's what this team does, and he finds the better opportunity. Right? Any style can do that, but this style demands it.
Yeah,
So
you can
great.
really see how it works for them too.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
the amount of opportunities and plays they're getting just from that cutting of rotation because 'cause they're comfortable with it.
Yeah.
I mean, if their shots if Crossbar didn't hate them, this game would be completely different.
It really would be. And that's the thing. You are seeing the pattern of Crossbar hating them. That time, very nicely executed shot. All right, what we have here, how does it develop? A pass off the wall to himself this time, using the wall to get around people and then finishing it himself. This is a team that's starting to really enjoy this style of play. It isn't refined. We can very
Not
much tell it's not
not even
refined,
remotely.
but they're good at it. Biggest weaknesses so far we're seeing is shot placement and the transitional defense. But over here on the other side, we have Redout, who are transitioning just fine, but they're not holding long stints on offense, and their defense is extremely scrambled. You see three people on one side of the field right now. Your defense should never look like three people on one side of the field. That should not be a thing. They're in love with shadow defense. I always say, point your nose towards the ball. Combat or combat right there in the net. You can see all three players on Redout moving to shadow defend. And at this moment, he is in such an awkward position. I always tell people, man, if you see tail lights, aim for them, directly for them. Don't leave anything up to chance. Hit the person's taillights. Accuracy in Rocket League is never that perfect, so if you aim for a car's taillights, chances are you're going to miss it and hit the net. Taillights
Accurate.
are so difficult to use to save the bell. Headlights will save much more balls than taillights, and right now we have all three players on Redout putting their taillights to the play. Turn your nose around, face the play. The tendency to shadow defend is not a good sign for this squad.
Now, why exactly should you not shadow defend if you're not last back?
If you're not the last back,
Yes.
shadow defending is not inherently bad. Like everything in here, nothing is inherently a bad thing to do, but the tendency to consistently shadow defend, especially when you're the last one there, when you're the first one to the net, right? When you're the first one to the net. Now, I'm going to draw this out because it's a basic concept, right? I'm going to ask you some questions. You are a rank B player, Freshify. So, say this is our box around here, or I guess this field actually has it drawn out quite well for us. And we have a player starting a dribbling. We have an orange player starting their dribbling run around here. You have two people to defend this dribble with, but this dude's really good at flicks. What do you do?
Hmm. With these with these 3 people in these specific positions?
No, no, ignore all the cars on the field, and I'm gonna put a blue car right here and a blue car right here.
Well, the one on the right would go for it, and then ideally, he would either get the 50 or the guy would flick it, and then the person behind him has it for free.
Exactly. That's the exact right answer. It is basic Rocket League, right? That is diamond level learning. Person comes down, you challenge early, leaving the person behind with an easy follow up. Now, what if the person challenges early and the person behind is facing this way? Tis no bueno. That's what
It
it
is
is.
not.
It's not fun. That's not how you win that challenge. You need to be facing the ball because if the person coming in shadow defending as second back shadow defends successfully and gets in the way of the path, they need your car facing the ball to follow up on the air to their touch, mistouch, or whatever they forced. The fact that both players pointed their noses backwards makes that basic Rocket League strategy impossible to manage.
That is very true. It's very obvious to see that too. Now, I'm curious how this overtime will be going
And we are
and
just
all
going
mistakes
to
we'll see.
yeah, sorry to cut you off. We're just going to let the overtime play out, and we are going to analyze while we're going to do any analyses while explaining the game while playing the game. I'm sorry, my brain stopped working there for a second as we are
Happens
running
to all of
short
us.
on time. See a little bit of a double positioning, but there by Black Farts and Combat. And there we go. The shadow defending yet again, backing up just a second so we can see it. Where's the hunger to keep the ball on offense? Both players just leave what would normally be a defendable play, making it very difficult to maintain extended offensive possession. That is why, even with the mistakes that we're seeing out of Overland Esports, yep, Overland Esports, we're seeing them consistently hold long periods of possession. These long periods of possessions are very easy to hold when you have a team that's successfully cutting rotations and delivering short infield passes like this. The downside is, oh my God, look at that.
That's
They,
oh, that's so
oh,
oh,
accuracy is just a struggle with these guys. But the problem with this strategy is that a air dribble straight into the net is faster than this. Look how
it
much
is.
time, look how much time it's giving to the opposite team to come back and make something happen. Positioning becomes so much more important as mechanics aren't going to save you when you're that close and that tight. You have to be in the right position. You have to make the passes crisp and perfect. Whereas the style that we're seeing more from
Redout?
Readout, yeah, Redout, is more conducive to a mechanical correction, a recatch of the ball, if you will. Both styles, again, have merit and have RLCX successes. But no, again, like I've said 1,000 times, recognize the weakness of what you're bringing to the table. Know how to switch between styles whenever it is necessary.
Now, what do you mean by switch between styles?
Okay, so Redout is struggling to maintain offensive possession for a long period of time. Maybe they can stand to tighten up the rotations just a bit. The Hunter going straight for shadow defense, making it very difficult for him to maintain that ball. But he does cause a disruption that combat immediately comes into. They tightened up their rotations completely and attacked very aggressively. Being able to switch the passive spacious meta and to immediately bring on a lot of pressure is a very advantageous thing to have. But here you can see Black Farts Matter immediately going for the deep, deep shadow defense. Whereas 100% for certain that would not have happened on the side of Outland. They would have challenged that. They would have egoed that all day long and kept offense on their side if it succeeded. And their rotations are so tight that if done properly, oh, what a squishy save and clear. If done properly, they wouldn't have had to face the sacrifices of a third man push, as the next person would have been coming in very quickly. The benefits to their style.
Yeah, indeed, indeed, indeed. What did I just say? Um, you can see how, um, red team, their defense is starting to get a little bit better, just slightly enough. They're able to do well under the pressure of blue team, which is starting to add more pressure to it. They're cutting their rotations, like you said, making it tighter, and it really is that adaptability that wins you games in OT.
It is, and now you can see the style of Redout, the blue team, starting to come to fruition where the solo plays are coming up. They're forcing double commits, they're pulling people out of the net, and they're holding offense longer. And look, this is a strategy that a lot of people really like using when they're using style. And another missed shot right there is the counterattack strategy. Like I said, this isn't a primarily counterattack system that they're using, but it works very well because you have the elongated pushes, you have the space to use the mechanics. You can go farther back into your own zone and still put offense right back up. Whereas the red team, Overland, as soon as they lose offense, they're immediately on defense. It's very difficult for them to immediately push it back when they lose it. So it's that tightness that they lose the third man. See, right there, you can see it happen. It was only because of luck of a deep rotation that they're able to push that back.
Yeah. As you can see here, blue, they really do love that defensive hold and then into that counter attack because it does work so well with their gameplay.
It really is working exactly as you said. The counterattacks are coming in. They're pushing it back. Their defense is a little bit less scrambled. You can still see them triple possess into the corners, but they quickly separate whenever they do it. The 50-50s coming in is a requirement for Overland's strategy. If they're not making really strong 50-50s, they're not playing Rocket League, and that's just the simple facts of that. You need strong 50-50s if you're going to play the cut and pass style.
That is very true, very true. And with their passes here, once again, I think it's just that shot placement that's causing them problems right now.
It is. This would be a very different game, and you could see the dominance that they have. And like I said, Overland, the red team, eventually goes to win the series as a whole. And you can tell that all they really needed to do was find their passing lanes a little bit tighter. Right there, a great pass, but Anubis too far out. Tighten up their passing lanes and make their shot, land their shots, and they win this game. Right there, a little bit a mishap on defense, and into the net it goes. That is all they wrote for this game. This long, long 12-minute game with a almost 6-minute overtime finally ends in a scuffed little back goal. Let's take a look at some of the stats pulling up on the screen. Readout with an obnoxious amount of both teams with an obnoxious amount of
That is a
shots.
lot.
9 to 18 shots from Redout, and
16?
wow, about the same, right about the same number, very similar number of 16, 17, something like that. My math is not working in my head right now. My brain's
Neither
broken.
is mine.
Overland getting a lot of shots. Redout, most of their shots came in overtime with those nice offensive pushes.
Yeah, and with that being said, that is the end of this replay, which means we have to wrap this up.
Yes, yes, we do. And it was a very great replay. So,
It was.
Freshify, final thoughts on this.
Well, in the end, uh, Overland are the better team, but Redout, they snuck this one through.
Yeah, Redout.
And it and then the most important reason to that happening is the adaptability that they did in overtime.
Absolutely, being able to really double down on the counterattacks strength that their system allows. And it really comes down to maybe not, to say one team's better or worse is very tough. Overland had their style and they used it to its strength more than their opponents. In this case, their opponents were able to still overcome it. But as the whole series progressed, Overland still wins it. They play to the strength of their style more than their opponents, and that's why they're able to hold such long offense. That's why they're able to make things happen. But like you said, we do have to wrap this up.
We do, and with that being said, thank you for the expert insight, Scully. It
Absolutely.
was
Thanks for having me here.
well, of course. And with that being said, if you want to catch more Slips action, you can see us at twitch.tv/Slips League Championship to watch Slip League matches every Saturday. And make sure to check out new episodes of Breakdown every Sunday and Unscripted every Wednesday. You can also check out our community Discord via the link in the description below. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you all next time.
Hey, y'all have a great night.
Have a nice night.